Hi, I'm Peter Resnick from ShadowTrader.net. Thank you so much for checking out this video. What you're about to see is a recording of a recent event that we had called the Live Trading Suite Open House. This is where all 8 of our moderators in our 2 separate rooms, because remember, the Live Trading Suite includes 2 rooms, stocks and options and futures trading. All of those moderators put on a short presentation, about 10 to 15 minutes each, talking about exactly who they are, what their edge is, description of their strategy, showing off their track record, and most importantly, talking about how they're applying that edge to putting out winning trades in our rooms for our subscribers day after day. So I do hope you enjoy it. Make sure you stay to the end because there's a special coupon code near the end of the video where you can get a discount on the Live Trading Suite. Without further ado, enjoy the video. Good evening and welcome to the ShadowTrader Live Trading Suite Open House. Good to be here with you all. Thank you to all of you who have joined us this evening. So this particular presentation is going to be essentially a showcase for all of the traders that are in our Live Trading Suite. If you're not familiar, ShadowTrader has 3 chat rooms, 2 of which are comprised in the Live Trading Suite, which is our stocks and options room, and also our futures room. And then we also have the weekly room, which is the one that I run. That's separate. This presentation is specifically geared towards people who are interested in the Live Trading Suite, which is the 2 rooms that are, like I said, stocks and options room and the futures room. So to that end, we're going to kind of go not necessarily in order of how everybody moderates there, but we're going to do the stocks and options room first, and then we're going to flow right into the futures room. So you're going to be hearing from 8 different moderators today, and you can see the list there on the screen in front of you. I'm sharing a screen there showing there. So the first 4 names that you see there, Brad, Michael, Dave, and Scott, they are working every day in the stocks and options room. And at the bottom of the list, Scott, Marcin, Gus, and Jennie are in the futures room. But again, we'll just kind of run straight through one to the other, okay? Each person is going to spend anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes presenting for you. And they're just going to basically go into who they are, how long they've been with ST, where you can find them in the Live Trading Suite, like what days they're on. A little bit of detail on their strategy and edge, basically how they do what they do to put winning trades into our room consistently, and then also showcase a recent trade to give an actual example of something that the moderators do. Okay, so without further ado, I think we're going to kick it off now with the stocks and options room, and we will start with Mr. Brad Agunis. So Brad.
Thank you, Peter. Check 1, 2, 3. Sound is okay. Thank you for being here, everybody. As Peter said, we have a couple, live trading rooms going all day, or at least for most of the day. Let me get my screen up. And basically, why you're here and why we do this every day, right? And why you're here is because you're looking for what? You're looking for an edge. Right? You're looking for information that can make you a better trader. I mean, I think that's why you've taken time out of your Wednesday evening to come be with us, because you want to kind of shake the tree and see what these guys and gal have here at ShadowTrader. What I can tell you about me personally first, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty. As Peter said, I'm Brad Agunis. I'm doing the stock and options room. And I've been with ShadowTrader since 2007. I think Peter first started this thing back in like 2002, 2003, and then added me into the mix in November of 2007. So it's hard to believe, but when I started, the Dead Sea was still sick. Okay. It's now dead, of course. That's how long it's been. But, so I've been with the company a while, and it's been great because it used to be just, Peter and myself doing this thing every day. And now we've got an incredible team of people built over the past, almost 2 years with my buddy Mike from the Great White North and Dave and Scooter. Scott, Marcin, Gus, and Jennie have just really expanded the offerings that we have for everybody. Okay. So again, I've been here a long time. Started with Vanguard, way back in 1999, and was with another smaller independent firm. And then, 2001, 9/11 happened, got out of the business for a while, but then got back in November of 2007. So that's just a really quick little background on me. I don't want to bore you because who cares about me, right? You want to know what can you do for me and how can you make me a better trader and make more money in the stock market, right? Fair enough. So what I do and the edge that I bring to the table, and everybody, has their own different edge to trading. But basically, I start the day every single morning in the stock and options room at 9:15. Okay. Now, Peter sends out the pre-market perspective, which you all should have. But basically, when I come on to the broadcast at 9:15, prior to the market open, what am I doing? Right. Well, I'm kind of setting expectations. I'm giving you folks information that you can use, whether to be on the long side of the trade, you want to be on the short side of the trade, you want to be sitting on hands because, the market is most likely going to exhibit sideways action. And I always start with, real quick, and you can see it here, the S&P. So basically, I call this, the 10,000 foot view looking at the market through the telescope. Okay. So you have to have a framework to start from. At least you should. Now, again, I don't know everyone listening. There's a lot of people here, I'm sure, from all over the country. But you got to ask yourself, what do you do every morning coming to the market, right? Are you prepared? Or do you just, wait for the opening bell and buy something or sell something because you heard Kramer on TV talk about it or something else? We really try to give you structure every single morning to know that, is the market in an uptrend? Is it in a downtrend? Is it in an uptrend, but is it in a pullback mode, right? And so that's what we do. That's what I do every single morning at 9:15. So I start with the S&P. Okay, obviously it's been very, very bullish. I mean, we hit new all-time highs several days ago, but obviously the market sold off pretty sharply today, although recovered pretty nicely, which I was kind of surprised. But tomorrow will be a new day, and hopefully you'll show up, and I'll give you the whole game plan of what to look for. But we lost some critical levels. 58.30 was something I talked to the team about earlier this morning in the S&P cash. Why was that important? Because the 8 EMA had been support. Now this, S&P has been kind of sideways for about a week and a half, but it's getting tired, right? It was getting a little long in the tooth. And some of the things we said was, if S&P cash 58.30 gets lost to the downside, look for target to the 21-day MA, which is the green dashed line. By the way, the 8 EMA is the yellow dotted line. The solid green is the 21. We keep it very simple with these moving averages. All right. And, we're technicians at heart. And some people, might scoff at that. But believe me, we've been doing this a long time and we know it works. Is it perfect? No, of course not. Nothing is perfect. But we really give you the nitty gritty, and we talk about important things, important levels, and we don't just blow smoke, right? We don't talk about the latest baseball game or football game. That doesn't matter. We talk about, do you want to be long? Do you want to be short? Where's a good opportunity to buy this stock? Where's a good opportunity to sell this stock, et cetera? So anyway, so that's what I do. I start with the big picture, the telescopic view, but then I go under the microscope is what I call it. And every single morning, I give you folks the skinny, right? I give you the prior day high, the prior day low. We talk about overnight inventory. Is it net long? Is it net short? Do we want to fade a move higher if it gaps down? Do we want to fade it short if it gaps up? And we give you this information, folks. That is our edge. It's pure technical analysis based on order flow, based on price and volume, not just because, I woke up on this side of the bed and I'm bullish, or I flipped the coin today and I'm bearish. That's not how we operate. So we give you very specific levels every single morning. I give you also what's called pivot points. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty. If you know what a pivot is, great. If you don't worry about it. You'll learn about it. But for instance, like the blue line is a point of control. The green is the pivot. And then we have S2, S3, R2, R3 if we need it. And they come in and are very, very helpful. We also have the VWAP, which is this purple line here. And then I give you every single day, folks, I give you targets. I give you upper targets. I give you lower targets. And you can see where something called a VPOC, it's an untested point of control. And by the way, we added a new untested point of control above us because today's high is 58.74 and yesterday's point of control based on regular trading hours was 58.92, right? So again, you're starting to really just put this stuff together one piece at a time, ladies and gentlemen, and trust me, it's going to help you in your trading. You're not going to get it all day one, but if you sit here and listen to all the moderators in this room, you will pick up on very important information. So every single morning, you know, I do it. I give you the VPOCs, the highs, the lows, the VWAPs, the pivots, and things like that. I also do it for the NASDAQ. You know, I give you the highs, the lows, the target areas, and then basically, you know, trade from there. If you know, we think a fade is in play, we'll give you a key level, and if it's lost, we'll look to the short side. If it's, you know, a bounce at a key support, which it was today, we actually went down to S4. Now you're only seeing S2 here, but we actually went down to S4 today, which was a very important level, and S4 was 58.08, and today's low is 58.01. Right, so that's how we kind of offer value to traders every single day. Now, beyond that, and I'm just going to, you know, finish with this, you know, as technicians, right? I mean, what are we looking for? We're looking for places to get in stocks or get out of stocks. And as an example, you know, what I personally do is I look for support and resistance. And I have a couple different trading edges. You know, one is called G+3. Gap down, wait 3 days. And by the way, these are just examples of all the trades, you know, that I bring to the table. Scott will talk about his, and Dave and Jennie and everybody else. But just in this example, Starbucks, when they reported back here at the end of April, I bought it right here. Okay. Now, again, you're like, well, that's way after the fact. Who cares? But I'm telling you, it's important because I do stuff like this all the time. I literally bought Starbucks on May 8th because it was gap down, wait 3 days. And the reason that happens is because as traders are selling, then all of a sudden they have a big gap down on earnings. Once people can't take the heat anymore, they sell, they can't stand it. And guess what? Selling's done and we got long, right? And we sold up here when it broke out of this channel, all right? The other trade I took in Starbucks is when it revisited the support. And I bought Starbucks again here, literally, ladies and gentlemen, on July 11th. Okay, so again, I'm just telling you, these are the kind of things that, you know, I bring to the table. Scott will talk about his, et cetera, et cetera. But these technical patterns make sense. And by the way, some people say support and resistance, you know, technical analysis doesn't work. Ladies and gentlemen, trust me, it works. Is it perfect? No. But all I want you to think about before I turn it over is support is nothing more than demand. Right? When stocks get cheap enough, people will turn dollars into shares because they see value. All right. Now, when things get too expensive, they put on what's called supply. They take their shares and they turn them into dollars, ladies and gentlemen. That's all it is. Right? Support and resistance is nothing more than supply and demand. Don't get hung up about it. It works. We've proven it over the past, you know, 20 years here at ShadowTrader. Another recent trade, real quick, CrowdStrike. Some of you know CrowdStrike. Come on, Brad, you can type. CrowdStrike had that issue, you know, with the data, you know, update or whatever, and they blamed CrowdStrike, but I think it was one of the airlines. You know, one of the things I was doing recently was selling downside puts. Now, why did I do that? Right. And by the way, I bought the stock earlier, sold it, got back in, and then I was selling puts, but I sold a downside put as the stock was coming down. Okay. I sold a downside put for the October 4th expiry on September 27th. Okay. I did it September 20th. And by the way, every single trade we take, myself, Gus, Mike, it's all posted in the room at the time. Like I don't say, hey, I bought, you know, crowd at 220. Here it is at 290. By the way, I bought it down here. Right? We don't do that. I hate when people do that. It's like so disingenuous. And anyway, so the point is another trade idea or strategy I use is on an uptrend. I was selling some downside puts. I was using the 21-day as support. So that expired worthless on the October 4th expiry. I did it again on the October 16th expiry. I was able to sell the 292.50 put and collect the premium. I sold the 260 put here, collected the premium. So again, these are just, some of the ways and strategies that we talk about all the time. And I'll leave you on this. Zscaler was another one. And here's when someone tells you technical analysis doesn't work, tell them that's not possible because Brad showed us. I bought Zscaler here because there was 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. And again, what is support? Demand, folks. They take dollars and they buy shares. And that's exactly what happened. We got long here, bought more stock. I got called away finally at like 175. I wrote an upside call. But a couple weeks back, remember how strong it was? There was an incredible move there in Zscaler. But anyway, I'm going to, pass it over to my buddy Mike now. But real quick, before I leave you, I just want to kind of show you. And I'm going to be putting this in the file section. And obviously, folks, I have tons. I mean, I got Boeing, I got Chipotle, which I'm out of recently. But every single trade I do, it shows you the date of, when it's bought, whether it's a buy or sell, whether it's a call or a put or the stock itself. These are all credits. I even give you the time in sales, whether it's Best or Box or Bats or Amex or NYSE, the PhilX, what exchange it gets traded on. And basically that's going to be in the file section soon. It's not there yet. But as you can see, I just have done this for every single trade, every stock. And it just goes on and on and on. The green obviously is either credit collected and profit. For this one, for instance, like Zscaler, we made over $14 on that trade. Hopefully you can see that, but right here as an example. Now, are they all winners? Of course not. But again, you take the good with the bad. You try to keep your losses to a minimum, and you just move on from there. So anyway, that's kind of what I do every day here at ShadowTrader. And again, the great thing about it is I'm kind of like the low man on the totem pole, folks. We've got traders with a lot more experience. They do great stuff. Mike and Dave and Scooter and Scott Schneider is a recent addition, and Marcin's unbelievable. Gus, he's also a crypto expert, so you want to stay for him. And then Jennie is the queen of market profile. I'll just leave you with this real quick. Market profile, folks, is a way that we here at ShadowTrader differentiate ourselves as well. Because again, it's not just a price chart. We need to know where volume is. We need to know where time is. We need to know where the point of control is. And Jennie is an absolute master. So in any event, I think I've yacked long enough. I am going to turn it over to my buddy from the Great White North, Mike Denblaker. And anyway, have a great rest of your evening. Again, thank you for being here, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, Rum Forest. Rum, really appreciate it.
My name is Mike Denblaker. I've been trading for about 20 years. My unique flavor that I bring is I am a swing trader. I tend to look at charts from the longer time frame. I hold positions, anywhere from a couple of days to a couple of weeks, depending on how things are going. But my focus is top-down analysis. I love looking at the larger time frames and getting out of that chart the information that I need for taking a trade when I start zooming in. I like to find charts that, well, I have a firm belief actually that the larger time frame chart is the one that represents most accurately what the deep pockets, where the big money is trading, how it's forming the chart. I believe it's the larger time frame and the deep money, the deep pockets that actually builds the structure of the chart. That makes sense when you think of it. The amount of influence that a larger account is going to have. Excuse me, my phone is dinging here. Let me shut the ringer off. And so I start there and I start zooming in and I try to line the stars up. I try to get what I call pattern layering inside the chart. After I look at the bigger picture, I like to look for some kind of harmony in the chart as it plays out when I start zooming in. I'm going to go ahead and use the chart of NET Cloudflare because this actually is a trade. Oh, you're not seeing my screen. I am so sorry. Well, you caught me just in time. Let me fix that little problem here. Thank you very much for reminding me. All right. You should see my screen now. Fortunately, you didn't need to see it until just now. I took a trade this morning in Cloudflare. I thought this is a great example. Here you have a weekly scale. I tend to look at this chart and try to follow along with what's happening here. I see an auction process that took place right here. And then we see a base, an initial pivot was formed. And of course, 2020 hindsight, I can see it now. But at the time, it was the beginning of what I think is probably one of the bigger part of my focus is the low volume zone in the chart. I call it a low volume zone because it is the place where the market does not like to do business for whatever reason. And so when I see a consolidation and then a pivot low, and then it falls through it, comes back up and begins to build, in this case, it builds a very long-term place where every time the auction comes here, it moves away. It does not want to do business at $75. Whatever that reason is, I don't need to know. But then I watch the behavior and I watch what it's doing around it over time, and I follow the narrative along. And in this case, I see that this is kind of a rounded bottom, and then it comes up, a big emotional move comes down and begins to come back through it. But in this case, what's really interesting is if you zoom in on this on a daily scale, now that I can see the perspective, I can see an up channel, I can see that it is building a higher series of higher lows. And now that when I zoom into this, what's really interesting is even though it has come below that, you can still see that on a daily scale, it is still respecting this line. The auction still comes above and below this line with great reliability. Here you have one emotional event after earnings, but for the most part, it continues to stick with its habit, with honoring those lines. Then it has established another one up here. It washed it out just a bit right here, reestablished it there, and now when I see this move right here, which is pretty emotional, a lot of energy, and then it fairly gently enough for me pulls back into that line and comes in. These low volume zones are the crux of what I do. I focus on them. I find them all through the charts, and I call them money lines. A friend of mine started calling them money lines. I think that's a good term. A low value zone also, because we know that in market profile terms, the value area is where the market does the most business. I'm interested in where it does not want to do business, and that is the edge that I bring to the table in my trading. So in this case, I'm long here. You can see it moved just against me a little bit. I'm going to wait and see if this is going to hold. My hypothesis, of course, is that we're in an uptrend and we got really emotional, and that traders are going to come along now, possibly, if I'm correct, and jump it here and see if we can continue to get a move up. And if that's the case, we're moving back into a previous range that could, it's not an unusual stretch of the imagination, could get us all the way back up here into the 115 area. And then if I need to refresh my memory on what the potential for the chart is, I simply back it back out. And here I see that it could go to 130. It requires the incoming tide of the broad market probably to help it along. I would probably terminate the trade there because I would imagine some bears are going to back down. But it's very simple. I have a very strong faith that everything I need to know is in the price action, because the price's action is representative of the crowd, and the crowd is a broad spectrum of people that carry with them their fundamental beliefs, their opinions, and they express it in the way they trade. And of course, that is what shows up on the chart. So I believe that the chart is a consensus mechanism, and I think that just like anything else in life, the greater faith that you have in something, the more you're going to benefit from it. So that's pretty much the nutshell of what I do, chart after chart after chart, day in and day out with my trading. It pays me well. And I enjoy doing the moderating, and I have an account that I keep with the for the room only and trade that transparently. Here's my spreadsheet. I try to keep everything transparent on here as much as possible for traders. You can see that this one is starting on the 1st of this year. So so far this year I've taken 178 trades. And if you scroll down through here, you'll see that sometimes I'll put, like, here's a B, and C. In other words, this is the same structure on this particular trade of Alaska Airlines. I think that's what that is, ALK. And I took 3 shots at it, or 2 shots at it, and made some money. You'll notice here that my losers are smaller than my winners, and that's if I were to say that low volume zones and my focus and my ability to understand the auction around it, the auction behavior around a low volume zone is my edge, I would have to say that a second part of my edge, a very large part of it, is my ability to take small losers and, with the guidance of the larger time frame charts, let my winners run. So it's the larger time frame charts that show me the potential for the trade. It is the smaller time frame that allows me to minimize the risk when I line those patterns up inside there. So there's a lot to be said about that. I'm being very brief right now, of course, but you can see I only have 2 trades open right now. Had to close a few trades today, but having a good year. I try to keep everything updated in the files section for everyone to see. Peter wants me to put these things in there every day, and I can tell him I never get that done, so I'm not being doing what he wants. I try to get it in there a couple times a week, updated and everything. So everybody that's been following along with me in the room knows that this is an exact representation of every trade that I call in the room, and so far we're having another good year. We beat last year so far. And let's see if there's anything else I can say about this. If I go beyond my 2% risk, I put it in big orange or yellow or whatever to remind myself that anytime I do that, I'm being a bad boy. So that's one thing I don't want to do, is lose any more than 2% of my account value on any given trade. So you can see here the account value is $10,000 or $11,000 now, so 2% of that gives me a little bit more wiggle room, and I actually rarely ever hit 2%. It's often usually just 1.5, something like that. But the methodology allows me to go ahead and absorb these when they do happen once in a while, because I might get a gap down or something like that. And I usually run 1.6 to 1 losers over winners. It's very common for me to be in this range. I've been pretty much right here all year. 1.6 to 1.8 losers over winners is pretty much my ratio. It takes me a shot and a half to hit a target. And so, but those targets, when they work, they pay me. So that's me in a nutshell.
All right, so I am Dave Forster, and I have been with ShadowTrader since May. And basically what I do for the most part is cover 0 DTE setups. And so what I do is very tactical. So I come on the show after Brad. So I am on Tuesdays. All right, let me move my mic a little bit since you're saying it's hard to hear me. Hopefully that helps, Johnny. Let me know. All right, so yeah, I'm on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 Eastern, and I covered 0 DTE. I have traded for a long time. Basically, I started really, I would say, trading in 2008, primarily with options, stocks. I've also traded futures, Forex too, but after that, in terms of my background, I ran a trading room for about 6 years, pretty much focusing on credit spreads, and about 70% of those trades are profitable on an unadjusted basis, and there's about 90% after adjusting. And that's one of the things that I do in the room as well. is I will adjust the trades. It's a great thing you can do with options, even on a shorter term time frame like 0DTE, you can still do that. And then in terms of my background as well, I was able to be mentored by Steve Neeson. I worked for Steve Neeson for a few years and developed some option trading courses for him, and that was just a great opportunity to get mentored in the use of candlesticks. And so candlesticks are a big part of what I do. I also will look at levels a lot. I might look at them in a little bit of a lower time frame than Brad does, but since I am on the show after Brad, it can be really helpful for you to have Brad's background, and then I get into it at a deeper level. So, I'm pretty much just focusing in terms of trade management. It's going to be on the intraday time frame. I do take my cues off a higher time frame like Brad does, and so I look at a lot of price action, and so I'm primarily focused on the indexes. And basically, I wanted to walk through an example and give you an idea of what some actual alerts were. So I'm looking on the screen at what SPX did yesterday. So you can see that, it just kept making higher highs, higher lows. What a difference a day can make, right? So, we, just kept kind of rotating from one channel to another higher. And one of the things I try to do when I'm looking for a trade is be intentional about which index I want to trade. So I don't always trade SPX. So I want to choose the best vehicle that I can for you in the room. And a lot of that is just evaluating basically what's going on with the trade. So what I saw yesterday with SPX is that, initially it was trading in this lower channel, broke out into a higher channel, broke out again, and then just kept consolidating. And so a lot of times I'm looking for different credit spreads for the most part. So based on what I was seeing with SPX, really a bull put to me would be the most appropriate trades. But what I saw with the Russell 2000, if we change to what the Russell 2000 was doing yesterday, the price was a lot more stable. So here's the rut yesterday. And so on an intraday basis, it was not making new highs. It was very much in the first hour kind of range. So for a credit spread, this is just going to give me a higher probability kind of setup. And this is what a lot of people don't look at. They just say, I'm an SPX trader, I'm a rut trader. It's great to look at the same thing every day, but it's great to look at which vehicle can give you the best opportunity. So I thought what I would do is, take a look at the actual trade alerts that I was posting in the room yesterday. And let me give this a little bit more room so then we can get both of them on the same screen. So these are the actual alerts I posted yesterday. So yesterday at 11:27, so basically, right inside of this candle, I sold an iron condor, and hopefully this is big enough for you to see. So I sold an iron condor for 79 cents. And then I was considering buying the call spread back initially. So at 12:28, I could get an idea that, there's this double top here, right? So, you're seeing some former resistance here. If I extend this to the right, then you're getting an idea that, hey, there's a breakout and that high could be tested, and it tried, but it didn't quite get up there. So going back to the alerts, this is what I put in. I said, okay, at 12:28, so that's basically right around here, it looked like, it might not move up much more. But then ultimately on this candle, so basically right inside of that candle, I said, okay, I'm going to, buy back that call spread. And we were able to take a profit on the call spread and the put spread. And that's kind of another thing in terms of what I do. I don't actually do a lot of iron condors right out of the gate. I'm trying to structure the best trade at the best time, and that's what you can do with zero DTE. Is you can look at things on a lower time frame. You can be very tactical, and I think this helps a lot as well. If you're interested in futures trading, what I do can be a very good bridge to futures trading, because I look at a lot of the same things. We're both looking intraday, and that's pretty much a good example of what I do. So this is the actual trade alert, and I can see that I give you the reasons as why, like I mentioned down here. There's just too much momentum, and and it did continue up for a while. So that's pretty much what I do, and an example of that. So for me as well, everything is tracked. So let me get the spreadsheet open for you, and as you can see, I've been doing this since May, and initially I didn't do a lot of adjustments. You can see, to start off with, basically I would either do a call vertical or a put vertical, and then I started doing adjustments. A lot of the adjustments are geared around trying to increase the probability and allow us to stay in the trade a little bit longer. So that's our edge with zero DTE, being able to use probabilities, use technicals, combine them, find the best setup, and stay in that trade and make that work for us.
Scott Gillum here. I'm your old man on the stock and options. I follow Brad every morning. And what I kind of do with Brad is I help him by feeding him news. So first of all, let me tell you how long I've been with ShadowTrader, and that's been since 2015. I joined with Peter and Brad as just a broadcaster. And then Peter and I set up the now defunct time and the time spread advisory, while Peter has still got his weekly options advisory going. So that went through a couple of years. But since 2015, I've been with ShadowTrader as either an advisor or just a broadcaster. A little bit of my background. I've been trading or involved as a registered broker and an advisor since 1980. So I've got over 40 years in this market, trading every day. My main business is trading. So folks, that's where you come to see somebody who's a professional doing what they're doing. Primarily my trading style leverages time and volatility, either through the use of a credit trade or a debit trade. Credit trades can be calendars, bull puts, bear calls. Let's forget about the nomenclature. Selling credit below, selling credit above. The debit trades are typically calendars and diagonals, emphasizing that there's a bleed off of extra value as a stock would make a move either up or down into a targeted price. A lot of this information that I glean is not just technical. I have a three-pronged approach to everything that I trade. I trade using fundamentals, and you'll see on the side of the screen, I have a listing of equities that I think are fundamentally sound, have good options, and by what I mean good options, they have weekly options available to trade. I don't trade monthly only or monthly option only issues because they don't allow me the liquidity. So I've taken a look at some stocks such as American Apple, Albemarle. Of course, that one's a little bit underwater. Boeing, and you see that on the screen. These companies are fundamentally sound. They're based on revenue, earnings per share, and their growth potential to build into a winning type of investment or trade. Now, there's the technical side as well. We're all technicians. Everything we do is technical. And as Brad and Mike have talked about, we look at supply and demand, support and resistance, if you want to know what a lot of the trainers tell you. Oh, by the way, I also trained over 1,000 people with a prior company that I used to be just an educator in. So I do know my options. And in every issue of this broadcast that I do, usually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 o'clock to noon, I will put in some sort of educational piece to help new people or even those that are looking just to delve into the options market. What is the Greek characteristic, or why do options move as they move? And a couple of things that Brad and I have really honed in on, letting people know, is how far could something move based upon what the market maker, the guy who kind of runs the option market, think that a stock could move within a time frame, a week, 2 weeks, or a month. That can be found on any platform. And if I take a look, let's say Boeing here, for example, I take a look at Boeing. They just had earnings. But where could they go from now until November 15th? That's about a month away. Well, we've got an implied volatility. What the expected move, this is your crystal ball, by the way, folks. The expected move is based upon this 44% number, or about $12. So if Boeing resolves their strike, gets their act back together, they could move. And on the Tasty Trade platform, which is really nice, we've got the current price at around 157.50 or 75, and a standard deviation, or about 95% of the move. Divide that by 2, and you've got about 35. Pardon me, 68% of the move is 1 standard deviation. I apologize. 2 is 95. So if you take this 157.50 and take 37% drop down, or a half of this, $6, we now know that from 140 up to 175 is the expected move between now and November 15, that this stock, based upon its options, which is your crystal ball, could have this stock move. So using the technical side, I take a look at support resistance, where we've had a reversal, where we've got overhead resistance and we could turn back around. The 2 lines that are on my chart and on every one of our charts that we moderate for is the 21 exponential moving average along with this 8 exponential moving average, and they are very adamant about price action, using those as their inflection points. All right, so I've said 2 of the pieces, fundamental and technical. There is that third piece. The third piece in picking a stock or even picking a trade is, where are the catalysts? What is the news cycle that could affect price and traders' action? Is it positive news? Boeing, for example, they've got a strike going on. Well, if they resolve that strike and things look good again, they're going to have what? More revenues. They're going to be back to work. Traders are going to say, okay, they're going to make more money once again. And by the way, Boeing has over 5,000 airplanes still yet to be delivered or built and delivered. That's a big backlog. So that should make them worth more money. Therefore, the price action should go up if the catalysts of the ending of the strike goes on. So now you've got to take a look at where are there inflection points. The 162 level, maybe up to the 180 level. Who knows? The third part of this sentimental piece I just hit on, and that's the option market. Once again, your options are your crystal ball to give you insight into where the price action could move to based upon all of the trading that's going on in the option market, which is a levered market against stock, to give some upside potential or even downside potential for an action. So not just a flip of a coin, buy it or sell it type of situation comes into my workings. Once again, I like to do things that are built on probabilities. Do I have a probability when I put the trade together that I can have a positive outcome if I, let's say, sell credit up above here, even if the resolution of some sort of catalyst happens, or sell some credit down below here, just in case the resolution doesn't come about? So my take on my trades is based upon probabilities. I prefer, as I said, issues that carry weekly options as an edge for my exits, and all my trades are posted as actual fills at the time that they're filled on the alert section of this this program or this broadcast. Just to let you know, let's pull up what the sheet looks like. And the sheet that I post every week looks like this. Start out with open trades being green. Closed trades are in no coloration. I go through the date that it's done, the underlying, the action that I took, the series that we're in for an option or a stock trade, be stock down here. And I run through how much it costs, what my net credit or cost is, any risk capital. If we do a credit trade, I'll give you the risk capital. Then some comments. We'll take shares as an adjustment on this put vertical on Boeing. If it now completely works out profitably, the potential is 22% return in 25 days. I also do a running total. Totals throughout the last 2 years, around $7,500 in profits. This year, about $3,800. And I give you how much capital we actually spent to get this $3,800 and a percent return. This is on the low side based upon what Mike has got, but this is very fair to the risk and the probability of success. My trades are usually about once a week. So let's go through that Boeing trade. I saw this inflection point and the move back above as Boeing started to then, on a technical basis, gain some ground or some buyers. I took a look at this move back up and said, all right, I'd like to sell some credit down here. And with the credit that I received, I went out and bought a longer dated option on the upside, just in case they resolve their strike. So we've got a credit trade paying for a long call on the upside, and I've got zero cost out of pocket on this trade. Yes, I have some risk, but that expires this Friday, so I did a very short-term trade. Now, taking a look back on that sheet again, we've got a General Motors vertical going on right now after their big move to the upside. And I said, all right, this is where I want to buy shares. On Amazon, we've got a trade going. This is longer dated. You can see I'm out to December on my long call, and I'm selling credit against it in a shorter time frame. Keep that going, keep that going, keep that going. By the way, we've got one trade that the subscribers have been with me on. It's called SoFi. Sierra Oscar Foxtrot India. This trade started out as 2 pieces of equity. On the sale of options against it, we now have a net credit in pocket of 22 bucks. If SoFi goes out of business, we still keep 22 bucks. And right now, SoFi is worth about $1,000 on that issue, so we're about 1,000 to the good. Lastly, I love to educate participants to be informed on why, WHY, an issue moved and why it could move further or reverse. And understanding the use of options and stocks makes that type of trading very profitable. All right, folks, thank you very much. I hope you have a great rest of your day and evening. Take care. Bye-bye.
So I'm Scott Schneider. I'm live in the Futures Room Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. I joined ShadowTrader as a moderator in May 2024, but I've been a paying member of ShadowTrader since 2020. Peter's been a huge mentor to me and has played a significant role in my professional development. I've also had the opportunity to learn from all the other moderators, and I'm grateful to collaborate with such an awesome group of people, both moderators and members here at ShadowTrader. I was also a member of Scott Gillam's time spread, and I would also check in with them on, the Thinkorswim platform and listen to their live sessions when that was a thing. My sessions are a healthy mix of live market analysis and education, while also providing evening briefings the night before my live session. And I put those briefings in the file section for you guys tonight. I made one special for you guys. I normally wouldn't have one Wednesday night because Gus is going to be live in the morning. But you could check that out. It's in the files. I also start each session with, the references like you just saw on both ES and NQ that are going to be relevant that day. I look at the market as a continuous two-way auction. I use the profile to help me organize the data. I use market internals to help me look under the hood. I'm really passionate about market profile, as taught specifically by Peter and Jim Dalton. I think the best way to learn is by layering the learning over time. And I think being very clear in real time as to what I'm observing, so that market generated information that the profile can provide is the best way to learn it. And you just want to have it happen over a period of time. So being a member, really does help with that. I will also take live trades during my session if the trade presents itself. I try not to look for trades, but when a trade comes to you, you do want to take it. Oh, thank you. You can't see the screen? All right, so you're not missing anything, but let me just make sure I put it up there.
Scotty, you were good.
Oh, you can see it?
Yeah, you were good.
All right, thank you, sir. So not all trades are winners, and I embrace the process. I know how to keep my losses small, and I know that my winners will be larger than those losses. I track all my trades in an Excel file. I put that file in the folder sheet if you guys want to see that. And I can go over that with you. I'm also going to continue to build on that. So in November, we're going to be adding the sizing to the trades. Right now I just have it in points, ES and NQ, but I am net positive. I'm big on preparation. I believe that doing my homework after the market closes helps slow things down the following day when the market opens. And that's important because I am live at 9:30 a.m. to 11:30, and a period, which is the 9:30 a.m. hour for me, Eastern time, it is a pretty wild period. So I feel that the more I prepare, the more that fast-paced noise slows down. And I find that my briefings provide a really solid roadmap for the day ahead, focusing specifically on both ES and NQ. Those are the only two feature instruments I trade. I concentrate on those two to avoid getting caught in another man's game. In addition to my briefings, I also make sure to check Peter's pre-market perspective, which is released at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. During my sessions, I provide a continuous play-by-play of broader market activity. I stay present so I could read the MGI, the market-generated information, directly from the market. I strive to remain aware of my biases and my sentiment. When I enter a trade, it's typically based on the three-line method, which is a strategy that Peter developed for his weekly options room. And I've adapted it for futures trading. And if you're interested in that, I also put that in the files section for you. It utilizes the 8 and the 21 EMA on the 5-minute chart, along with the VWAP, which resets specifically at midnight. This method is only applied after evaluating data points from market profile and internals, and then it gives me a clear sense of where the market's direction, and then I use the 3-line method as an entry. I could give you an example of that because we had a 3-line method trade today. So this is my my journal of my trades. So far since I started with ShadowTrader in May, like I said. Today I took my 142nd trade, proud to say. I've got a net total of 208 points, 75 in ES and 563 in the NQs, as you can see in the top left. If you see it in yellow, it's an ES trade. If it's in blue, it is a NQ trade. The net points, if it's green, that was positive. I want, the trade was a winner. And if it's in red, the trade was a loser. And you can see there's a healthy mix, but the winners do weigh the losses. So the trade that we took today, we took 3. 2 of them were scratches on trying to get a break out of balance. But all right, so this is the 5-minute chart on ES for today. And right here is the open. Right there. And I got the purple line as the 8 EMA, you got the orange line as the 21, the VWAP's a white dot for my screen. And again, this is in 5 minutes. And we started the day under. And at 10, it was around 10, something AM, a little in C period. We had the first bar close above the 5-minute 8 EMA. Took just a responsive long. You had an overnight inventory that was very short, and we took that up to the VWAP, got out at 58.70 and a quarter, and that was a little base hit that we had for the day. That was the only we took. The other 2 trades were both scratches, and the other 2 trades were actually trades that I liked. I would have been more interested in. It just they happened at 11:30ish. So it wasn't really a good time. But, whenever we go outside of a balance area, and that's what happened today at the 58.50 level, that was a pretty big, level that I was looking at. And, we saw some excess, and that led to, what we saw in J period, which was that 2 o'clock hour, which was, this white color on the left is light volume. And so, anytime you get that strong selling on light volume, you want to be a little cautious. And with that said, the volume today was heavy. And so one of the things that market profile does is we don't just look at price. And I've tried, for anyone that's been just looking at price and having success, I commend you. That's awesome. But with market profile, it helps us look at 3 things. That's price, that's time, that's volume. Time is the constant. Price is the advertising mechanism. And volume is how you grade an advertised price. And so, it just allows you to kind of take a different look. And then you combine that with collaborating with these great moderators. You know, we have Scott Gillum, who is just a wealth of knowledge from fundamental, technical, you know, Brad, and then the future moderators, you know, Marcin, huge inventory guy, Jennie, the queen of Delta. My big thing is value. I'm really interested in value. You know, today we did have value lower. That's 70% of the day's activity. So I find that to be, you know, interesting. And then the other thing I'll point out that I thought was interesting today in both ES and NQ, we have a lack of material excess at the highs here. So just so you can see that a little clearer right here. So we have the 2 ticks minimum required, but that is just the minimum. And so it does let you know that if price were to go back there, you know, we could get a nice little short covering rally because there was heavy volume today. And, you know, just a data point to think about. It's not actionable on its own, but what you want to do is you want to look for as many of these little clues as you can. And the other clue that I can, you know, that I saw is, and I mentioned this in the briefing, the same situation is, you know, happened in NQ. So again, NQ and ES, both a lack of material excess. You know, is a little more excess in NQs, but NQs is a little more emotional, a little more wild. You know, so I just find that to be interesting. With that said, below 58.50, I'm not interested. And that's what I do. I take a look at the 11 sectors that make up the S&P 500. I'll take a look at the ticks. I got the iceberg, the cumulative, the weighted AD, the breadth, the ADs, and I call it out. And I got this all because, you know, I had learned from Peter for many, many years. So that's what I do. I really hope that you guys, you know, come check us out, see us in the room, and collaborate with us. I think, you know, what attracts the Shadow Trader clan is that we're all obsessed. And if you're in this room right now listening to this, you might be as well. And what you want to do is you want to collaborate with a tribe of people that are going to, you know, focus on the right things. They're going to challenge you. They're going to also, you know, make you be aware of your biases, maybe give you some things to look at. And most importantly, the thing that I think we do the best at Shadow Trader is we keep you on the right direction. We might not know exactly when, but we will be able to tell you, you know, what we're seeing in real time and take it bar by bar, tick by tick. Thank you guys for coming tonight. Peace.
My name is Marcin. I'm a moderator in the Futures Room. Give me a second to share my screen. I've been with Shadow Trader for about a year and a half. I've been trading futures for about 16 years and trading in general for about 30. I started in the tech boom of the late 90s, in my early 20s. I am a profile trader as well, but I am heavily focused on inventory, which is similar to support and resistance, but I have a background in accounting. So I'm always thinking how in a multi-trillion-dollar market, how are people making money? Obviously, it's not an accident. So a lot of the focus that I trade on is inventory coming in or is inventory shutting off? And the argument there is if inventory is shutting off, selling is stopping, it doesn't matter how low the volume is, we can push higher. So as a result of that, I'm heavily a long bias trader, even on down days. So I'll take a quick look about today, what we experienced. I had a couple of trades today. I'm normally on for the close with Jennie. So that's from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern or 11 to 1 Pacific. Me and Jennie are on Pacific time zone, hence we always close. So for the purposes of my trades, I'm usually focused on the J to M periods, which is the last 2 hours of the day. And my bread and butter trade, which I've talked about at length, is J period coming down and either failing to correct or turning around. So for a day like today, I would have, lots of downside today, lots of riding the downside. As J period started to form, I would have let it develop for the whole half an hour. I would have then, seen where K opened up, and I believe it opened up here in the 15 area. I would have then looked to see if K can come down and take out J lows, And when it can't, that's my trigger to go long to the turnaround. Long around 17, 18 on the upside. And there were single prints from both I into the early 20s and into the low 30s and from H. As we approached those levels, we would take partials, and we ultimately targeted halfback, which is just the median of the range. Yes, an end period after close, we ended up getting all the way up to VWAP, but the trade that was, I wouldn't say risk-free, but stress-free, was going long in this zone against this level. Never really, once we got into the 20s, we really couldn't break back down below 23, and we slowly ground our way higher. As opposed to short sellers, I get that quick resolution to the downside. When we start working through levels to the upside, there's, it's slower, more methodical, and takes some time. So you really need to have that thesis in place to hold that trade that long. And this is why I'm a big proponent of you taking profits along the way and moving stops up as we go along. The other thing that I take a look at is last week we posted some levels from our shadow shorts, and a big reason why we went short in the morning, beyond the fact that we look at internals and other setups from the general market, is that it was a level that at 58.50 that we could not initially sell through last week on the 15th and 16th. And as we started toying with that level in the beginning of the day, we started to push through the single prints from the 11th of October. And as we got back up in G period here, this was a really good sign, indicator that we can go short. Obviously, the ultimate downside of 5,800 was the absolute max, but there was definitely key levels at 23, which was the low of previous days here on the 10th and the 11th. So that's generally how I look at the profile. Obviously, we keep everything else in mind. On the way up, there's things like EMAs. A 21 EMA was being crossed. We look at Delta, which is Jennie's specialty. But we keep it all together, and we do our very best to support the subscribers and each other throughout the trades.
Assume everyone can hear me because I see a little thing moving. So hi, everyone. My name is Gus. We have a lot to go over, so I'm going to just kind of speed through my introduction, the boring part, so we can get to the more interesting stuff, which is a walkthrough of a position that I took today. So to start, again, who am I? I'm Gus. I've been studying the market for most of my life. Seriously, for the past 12 months, I've done everything from trading commodities for funds while I lived in Chicago. Yeah, I'll share my screen in a moment. I have a presentation, so it'll be a bit different. But yeah, so back to what I was saying. I've done everything from trading commodities for funds while I lived in Chicago to prop trading futures, and even building my own crypto native fund for nearly 4 years. So I've also been involved in crypto since Bitcoin was sub $100. I own businesses in crypto. I'm very, very involved on the tech side. So needless to say, I'm very passionate about what people are building infrastructure-wise inside crypto. So we do talk about that. Now, you won't find me on socials. I keep to myself and exclusively only educate on ShadowTrader. I do too much in my day to be on social media, so you'll only find me here. Now, I've been a shadow trader for a year and a half now. Yeah, time flies, but it's been a good time, man. It's good to have a community to share insights with and just kind of talk to. You know, trading's it's a very lonely profession, but it doesn't have to be. Anyways, I am a context-based trader, which is a term that I just made up just now. This means that I don't have XYZ steps that I run through every single trade every single day. Every day the market generates different information, and I use that information to create theories. I call them scenarios that I write every day, but they're specifically tailored to that portion of the day, that portion being the morning session. Now, I use VWAP, both the lower time frame VWAPs and the higher time frame VWAPs, the monthly VWAPs, the yearly VWAPs, both the ETH VWAPs and the RTH VWAPs. I use market profile, volume analysis, and traditional price action. Now, that sounds like a lot, but I promise it's not. It's a lot simpler than it sounds, especially when you get used to it. You kind of just chunk all the information together and it becomes a very fluid system. But okay, moving on. So now my sessions are very, very chill. Okay, 1 second. Okay, they're disconnected. Anyways, so they're very chill and very structured. So I'm going to go over a trade from today for you guys here in a moment, but just know that everything that I'm about to present, I talk about in real time. There's no after the fact. It's as I'm doing it, as I'm looking at it, as I'm studying it, the room sees it with me. So now I'm going to share my screen. So just give me 1 moment here. Okay, all right. So just going to reiterate one more time. All the trades that I take are proactive, which means that I write them down before I take them, and then I talk about them and write them down again as I execute. No delay. If I get in, my room knows the moment that I do. But okay, all right. So the way it typically works for me is I always start with the daily chart on both ES and NQ. Right? So we keep it simple by developing a bias by looking at the higher time frame VWAPs. And this year, the yearly VWAP has been our main focus. Now this changes. There's usually a focus VWAP. This year, it's the yearly. Last year, when we had the room, we were looking at the monthly, and the yearly VWAP was essentially useless. This year, the monthly VWAP has been pretty useless, but the yearly has been really, really good for giving us direction. Okay, so ES3 chart, so we're looking at right here, these pink lines you're looking at, the one at the bottom is the yearly VWAP, the two at the top that are shaded between them, these are the +1 and the +2 deviations. Okay, so on the ES daily chart, we're at the second deviation, which means the market is overextended and a retracement lower is to be expected. That doesn't mean that we're bearish and we're going to go all the way down. It just means that we're going to, at the very least, or there's high probability that we'll, at the very least, put in a lower high. Now, it can take time for this to happen. So it doesn't mean that I'm blind to longs and I'm only taking shorts. It just means that I'm going to position larger on shorts than I will for longs, but I'll still take both trades. In my scenarios in the morning, I typically try to do 2 longs, 2 shorts. That way it's consistent. And I say the word bias, but we don't really have a bias. All right, let's stay neutral. Because if you introduce a bias, you introduce emotions, and that can cloud your judgment, which we don't like to do. All right, now we can scroll down. Now we have the NQ daily chart. So these lines and boxes have been here for weeks. NQ reacted from a supply level. ES is retracing off of the deviations like we just looked at. So it's safe to say that my bias is to the downside, right? So now we go to the 1 hour and we draw a volume profile from that higher time frame range to see what this looks like. Right, and we see that we are coming down into the bottom of a high volume node cluster, right? These big lines here, we're coming down towards the bottom of it. And what's below that range, we have low volume node clusters. So my expectation is that if I'm able to get in short in the day, I'll be looking to take profit I'll be looking to take this trade into the low volume node, which is these thin bars here, and looking to take profits somewhere inside this box, ideally. And we'll get to how I take profits later. Now we kind of go down into the market profile. And so for just rewinding for context, I'll typically have 2 charts. This is window trader, by the way. It's not proprietary to, is that for me? No, it's not. Okay, if I disconnect, please let me know. Anyways, this is window trader. It's not proprietary to ShadowTrader. It's its own platform, but we all love it. Right, I have used every platform under the sun for market profile. Window Trader has been the one that I've gravitated to the most. It's well worth the investment for a number of different reasons, but I won't get into that now. Anyways, so let me see where I was. Okay, here we go. So now we get into the market profile. So today is a low inside value day, which means that we opened inside previous day value, but towards the bottom of the range. So that means one of 2 things are likely to happen. We're going to look below the previous day range, then be rotational between the deviations, ideally, or we're going to have a unidirectional day in one direction. So we have the swing failure pattern here during B period. So you're going to see all these lines. By the way, I start my session, I mark all these lines out, and I write the levels down in the alerts so everyone knows what I'm looking at. So you're going to see a line somewhere here. It's very dim, though. It says PD low. This is the previous day low. We looked below during BP period, so we did kind of have that reversal, but there was no follow through. Also important to note, I do not trade the first hour of the trading day. I use that time to generate information, read the information, and get into the flow of the market, which for me is very, very important to set up for the rest of my day. But okay, moving on. So I did see that we did have that swing failure pattern during B period below previous day low. So in my mind, I'm thinking the next time we go below that B period low, we're likely going to break down. So, okay, cool. At this point in time, by the close of B period, we have ideally 4 scenarios written down, right? So at this point, I want to get in short. I feel like it's going to get in short. But how do I get in short, right? So the only way that I would get in short based on the information that I have at the close of B period is if we get a close below the initial balance, which is the first hour of the trading day. Which brings me to my next chart here. So D period gave us that, right? This pink line here was the initial balance. D period came down below the initial balance. We had a pretty sharp move below during the first sorry, I didn't even explain this. So TPOs are traditionally 30 minutes. I break them down into 10-minute TPOs, not for any market profile reason, but because I like the volume profile and the volume prints on the 10-minute profile specifically. So I don't do anything with these letters or TPOs specifically, but I do look at the volume profile in this presentation. So D2, which is the second 10-minute period, broke down below the initial balance, but I wasn't sold yet. Why? Because we had a number of low volume nodes during that move down. So I wanted to see that rebalance a little bit. Now, sometimes we'll take the trade when it closes below. In this case, it closed too far below for me to take a trade, right? It closed all the way down here. My stop loss would have had to be inside the initial balance. That wouldn't have been a good risk reward for me. So I either pass on that trade and I miss out, or I wait for a retracement to a logical level, and then I execute. Okay, so let me go down. Okay, all right, so this was how I executed, right? So this was during the retracement here inside E period. We came up, this is the intraday VWAP, and in my session, I talk a lot about how we can get trend continuations at the first deviation after we've spent time inside the second deviation. So what I was looking for was some sort of traditional price action pattern. And the one that I use the most is called a swing failure pattern. It's just a look above a range and then a fail to close or accept above it. Then you close back inside the range. The moment that happened here, that was my execution. That was around 54. Stop loss back inside the initial balance. But then how do we take profit? So here's that chart that I showed a bit earlier, right? So we have the high volume node cluster here that I was looking to take profit in. But where inside here do we take profit? There are a number of ways that we can do this. I'm very conservative. I typically take profit just at the top, right? But I always break this down and look at what the maximum output could possibly be. So I looked inside this dealing range here, right? So now we're inside that dealing range. This is a 1-hour chart, by the way, on ES. I looked to see where was the last level inside that range where liquidity was swept. And that's the level that the market would be targeting. So in this case, it was this wick here, took out the low, market never violated that low, and we took off. So that low would be the minimum target. Then we look for imbalances below it. We have multiple imbalances below it. On window trader, this would be visualized as single prints. On candlesticks, this is visualized as gaps. And this is where the market went, right? We came down, filled in a majority of those gaps. Now, to be transparent, I am a conservative trader, which means that I rarely capture this entire move. I'll tell you where it could go, but I'm very conservative. I closed, I believe, around 440 or something like that. It was no way that I captured the entire move. I did re-enter a few times, and we talk about that in the room. But I am the kind of person that protects his mental capital. I get in, I get my money, I get out stress-free. And yeah, that is my presentation. I hope you guys were able to learn something from that. The last thing that I will say, even though I am well above my time, is that when you join the room, um, don't just follow our trades, try to learn from us, right? Very important that you develop your own system. The confidence that I have in my trades don't come from me learning something from someone else. It comes from me interacting with the market every single day. And I wish that upon you and everyone upon inside my room. And that's the kind of educator that I am too. I don't just give you the trades. I tell you why I'm taking the trades, and I try to give you a play by play as it's happening, as it's developing. Um, I feel that as an educator, that's the best thing that I can do for my students. So that is it. That is my presentation. Gus out. Moving on to Jenny. Hope to see you guys in the room.
Thanks, Gus. Hi, my name is Jennie, and I'm here at the ShadowTrader Futures Room. I've been a moderator here for almost 2 years now and trade only ES and NQ. Pretty sure it's been a very long day, so I'll try to make this short as possible. As a math major, I'd like to analyze data and numbers. Oh, hi, Art. How are you? I have completed 4 tests in actuary in 2007 and level 2 CFA in 2009, where I started to dip my toes in investment and trading. So I've been a longtime follower of Peter and ShadowTrader, is where I have stumbled upon market profile. I trade futures based on teachings of Jim Dalton and the market profile with a dash of technical analysis, but I do go deeper into understanding of what you would call a delta. Delta is, well, this is my profile screen. This is what we look at every day on a daily basis. But if you look at it, my profile is very different from a lot of people because I do have what you call a delta here in this box on the right side of each period. Delta is the difference between the ask and the bid. And I know this is not something new. It's a footprint, but the way I look at the delta and the way I dissect the data is completely different from what is already out there. If you're new to the market profile, it is basically an organized data of the auction process, also known as a TPO. Market profile gives us a 4th dimension, which candlesticks don't have, which is time. With this information, I try to find the participants of the market, if it's buyers or sellers who are in control, what price levels are being controlled, exhaustions and absorptions, and the emotional levels if they don't succeed bringing up or down the price. So I'm a mean reversion trader, and here's a trade we did today live in the room today. Hold on. So as a ES, price fell almost 70 points from the highs. We saw the sellers getting exhausted as the volume tapered and the delta going positive. So this right here, again, this is my delta on the right side. If you see it, it was negative deltas, and then we started getting positives. So this was a cause for exhaustion, and we knew it was the reversion was going to happen. I had a key zone at 58.05, which was on the last short video I had. So we started our long position here. And throughout the session, I gave a detailed plan of how the prices are reacting based on volume and delta. And we had a target at 58.32. We normally do trades that are, or I normally like to do trades that are more than 10 points on the ES. And about 50 points on the NQ. I like to look at it more long term than a very short scalp, and that is why I look at the TPO, because each TPO is 30-minute candlestick, and it kind of cuts out a lot of noise. So this is why I like the TPO, the market profile, and the delta. So this is how I look at the market, and this is how we trade on a daily basis. I'm usually on 3 times a week. And we do try to make a trade. And because we are at the end, we don't really get that good of a trade, but we do get that maybe once or twice. And then we'll get the short covering or the liquidation that happens at the end of the day. And we usually catch that, most likely. So I also look for volume before and after the close to determine if these are actual traders or if it's just algos rebalancing for overnight trading and the day after. Rick, this is what you call it window traders. We have different views. Usually everybody in the Shadow Trader uses window traders, but the way I have it is very personalized, and I do have the delta in it. So this is window trader as well. It's just a blue edition, I believe, that has the extras. At the close, we always see that high volume that comes in. We like to see that if it's coming before the close, it's usually the actual traders who's making who's closing out their positions or opening a new position for the next day. At the settle, after the settle, it's usually the algos that's rebalancing. So you kind of have to really determine if it's a real trader or if it's the algos and how it's going to play out the next day. So this gives me a lot of MGI to determine the high volume and if it will have that counter option or the follow through at the opening for the next day. So this is basically how I trade, how I look at the market. Delta is just a bid, ask minus bid. The footprint between ask. Sorry, I'm really bad at writing this. And so when you have a positive number, it usually indicates the buyer's in control of that price level. When you have a negative number, it's usually the sellers who are in control of that market. This, on a very low volume, this is usually the market buys and sells. But when you have a high volume like this at the end of the day, it's usually a limit sell or a limit buy. So it will have a negative sign as the market buy. So high volume, positive number usually is a limit sell. And a high volume with a negative number is a limit buy. So that's basically the delta overview of the delta. And I do have a video that explains the delta in more detail on the Window Trader website. I hope to see you guys in the room soon and have a great day.
I'll go back to the streams. Thank you so much for everybody who joined us here on the open house. Hopefully you were able to get at least a cursory kind of overview idea of who our traders are, some details about the edge they employ. I hope you did notice that something that I think delineates Shadow Trader from a lot of our competition is that we take the trading portion of what we do extremely seriously. We're very transparent. You notice that, for instance, everybody in the stocks and options room is keeping track of their trades in a spreadsheet. This is something that you don't see all that often. A lot of our competition is just doing trade rooms, but they don't, it's hard to say whether or not those traders are actually profitable or not, but we've got track records here in our rooms, which we're very proud of. So I hope you do check that out. Let me just share this screen with you so that you have an idea of what's going on as far as some deals that we're running right now. So this is the current deals that we're running, and the one that is specific to today would be this one, which is the 1 month for $49. Normally the live trading suite is $149 for each month. Now, to give you an idea of exactly what you get for that, that is full access all day long to both rooms. So you just heard from moderators that are in the stocks and options room, and in the futures room, these two rooms are running concurrently during the day, and you have access to both of them. Might be a little difficult, but you could listen to both at the same time if you want. You can jump back and forth. It's totally up to you. Whatever you like. We have lots of subscribers that are more into futures trading, so they're following, Marcin and Jennie and Gus and Scott, and we have lots of other traders that are more into stocks and options, and so they're in the other room with Dave and Brad, etc. So it's really up to you, but this is a really good way to check us out for a good amount of time for a low amount of money. You can take a whole month for just $49, so it's about a third of what it normally is. The regular price is $149. And if you sign up on our site, all you have to do is put in this coupon code, which is OpenHouse2024, okay? Now, what's important is that, like most subscription services, this will renew automatically at the full price. We just want to be transparent about that. However, again, different from our competition, everything at Shadow Trader is always one-click cancel. You don't have to call us. You don't have to send us an email. We won't harass you. We don't have operators standing by to try to upsell you on stuff, nothing like that. If you take any subscription to anything on Shadow Trader, whether it's a discounted 1 month or anything, or the 1 week for 7 or whatever, you cancel yourself with one click right in your own account. You don't need to call anybody or speak to anybody, okay? So again, the coupon code is OpenHouse2024. We also have an ongoing promotion. This is on our site. This is available all the time. If you want to really check us out for a very short amount of time, you can do it for $7 and get 1 week. This is a very low cost way to dip a toe and see if, over the course of a week, if this is for you. Same thing, it'll renew at full price, but all you have to do is cancel before it's over and you won't get charged. No big deal. And then of course our best deal is probably here, which is the promotion that we've been doing for a while now with tastytrade, partnering with them, getting 6 months free. And I want to just mention something about this, which is important, is that I haven't put this out yet publicly, but I will be doing it probably in the month of November, is that this deal is going to be seriously curtailed in 2025. So we are probably not going to be offering 6 months free anymore. It is going to be going down to 3 months. So this is probably your best bet right now. You have about just over 60 days to get in on this if you want to get 6 months free as opposed to 3 months. And all you have to do is open and fund a tastytrade account. It's just $2,000 minimum. Lots of people ask if you can do it with already having a Tasty account. The answer is yes. They don't mind about that as long as it's new money coming in. You're just not allowed to transfer funds from the other account into the new account that you're opening. It has to be with new funds, but you can open a second account. It's not a problem. It takes about 48 hours for tastytrade to process it. Give us word that the account has actually been funded, and then we turn you on, and you'll get 6 months free of both rooms, which is really a fantastic deal, okay? The Live Trading Suite also has quarterly and annual subscriptions if you want to save money. These are pretty big savings. You can pay in advance for 3 months and save over 10%, or you can pay for the whole year and you can actually save over 20%, because normally this is this is $149 a month, which comes out obviously to way over $13.99. Okay, Mike, thank you. Mike answered the question that the coupon is going to be good for the next month, so you don't feel like you have to rush into it just today or tomorrow. It's not like we're going to take it away or anything like that. If you want to send an email, you have some questions you want to ask, we're here all the time. I'm at asktheshadow@shadowtrader.net. Mike is at support@shadowtrader.net. Anything you want to ask is totally fine with us, okay? And that's about it. Like I said, thank you again for joining us. Again, these are the current deals. If you want to check us out at a discounted rate and start learning and trading profitably alongside our traders, we'd love to have you. Shadow Trader is proud to say that we are one of the oldest advisory type companies out there. We started doing this in 2006. As many of you know, we were the first and only third-party vendor to be embedded into the thinkorswim platform, and we maintained that all the way through TD's tenure. I think about the decade or so that TD owned it, we were still the largest chat room always there. Obviously, they added a few more, and after Schwab took over, we went private, and now we're running this kind of ourselves using our Pro Trading Room software. Last thing I do want to mention is that in addition to receiving the 2 rooms, full time, you get both rooms. Remember that all subscriptions to any of these services like Live Trading Suite or My Room does include the pre-market perspective for free. So you get my morning report and video. I do a 3 to 5 minute video every single morning on how I feel about the market. I'm usually analyzing market profile, and I'm analyzing candlestick charts of the S&P and the NASDAQ 100 as well. So if you like my videos on the weekends, and that has brought you to us, which I know many of you have come here from the weekend edition, I do a very shortened version of that every single morning. And if you subscribe to the Live Trading Suite, you get that report and video for free. It is included. So I'm happy to say that. Now, if you do subscribe, I want to say that the room that you are in today is pretty much an identical copy of the rooms that you'll be in. You'll notice in the upper left it says webinars. This is a separate room that we use only for webinars. We have the stocks and options room and the futures room. This room is also available on mobile. Okay, so just be aware that you can follow on desktop, as many of you may be doing now, but it's also available through our dedicated ShadowTrader app. ShadowTrader has its own app. in the Apple App Store and also in the Google Play Store. And you can get alerts in real time through notifications or whatever, and just follow along on your phone. If you don't want to tie up resources on your computer, or maybe you have a small laptop or whatever, you can always be listening all day on your phone. So it's really kind of cool. All right. All our moderators are always available for questions at all times. I know we didn't take too much Q&A today. If you have questions now, I'd be more than happy to take them if I can answer for you. But as far as anything that is specific to the moderators, feel free to email support@shadowtrader.net, and Mike will forward it over to them. And I can see that Mike is answering some of the questions already, so we appreciate that. And that's pretty much it. If again, I'll stay on for a few moments here if you have any questions. This entire presentation has been recorded. It's being recorded now. I will get it together later this evening and probably post it to YouTube, and we will also put it out via email to everybody who is on our email list. If you're signed up for Shadow Shorts on our homepage, you will be getting that. We also have, if you've put your email address when you came into the program, that's great. We appreciate that. We're capturing those through our mail client. It's kind of separate from our database on our site, but we do have those emails. If you put in a real email when you entered this room, we'll send you the recording of the video there as well. All right, and like I said, that's it. I will hang out for about 5 minutes if there's any questions here. And again, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it.